Thank you. And now for your starting lineups. Starting for the Fighting Squirrels, at guard, junior, number 0, Jaden Ignacio. At forward, sophomore, number 2, Luke Ogle. At guard,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second half of tonight's doubleheader in the barn at Southern Virginia, right here on Knights Broadcasting. For tonight's USA South men's basketball matchup, we have the Fighting Squirrels of Mary Baldwin, the #1 team in the USA South, and your Knights of Southern Virginia University. Joining me once again on the call tonight is Quinn Meyer. We just witnessed a great showing for Southern Virginia's women's team against Salem College, where they were able to get up to 94 points, get a good rebound win after the loss to Methodist. And we're looking forward to another exciting game of basketball to finish us off here tonight.
Yeah, really consistent, really nice bounce back game from the women after their first loss in conference play to Methodist. Looking for the same here from the Knights, who again have been in pretty much every game they played, especially in the conference. So really this is, despite Mary Baldwin being the #1 team in the standings currently, you know, this shouldn't be any more daunting to any of their previous opponents, so they got a really good shot at having a competitive game here.
Absolutely, the Fighting Squirrels coming into this one 11-9 on the year, 7-2 in conference. Like we've mentioned, #1 in the conference. Southern Virginia coming in 5-16 overall, 2-8 in conference, and like you said, a lot of close games this year, some within as close as 2 or 4 points. And last time around, the Knights had played, you know, against Mary Baldwin. The Knights kind of struggled scoring-wise. They ended up losing by 13, which isn't a crazy margin. But Quinn, you and I were talking before we went live here, is that if this becomes an outside shooting contest, Mary Baldwin is more than likely going to come away with the win, because they come in here with 5 players shooting over 30% from the three-point line, having shot more or about 50 or more three-pointers on the season. And so this is a team that, if you let them get in a rhythm, they will dominate you from the outside. And so, you know, we're talking that there's a couple things they can do. Southern Virginia needs to be very, very intentional on getting around over top of screens, contesting every single shot. Let nothing be easy for the Fighting Squirrels.
Yeah, and you said it best. I mean, that shooting from the outside is not what Southern Virginia wants to get into. It's not what they're known for. So they got to stick to the game, play really tough defense, because, you know, Mary Baldwin's going to play tough defense after only allowing the Knights 47 points in their first meeting of the season.
The Fighting Squirrels with the ball first. Right now with the ball was Quentin Hart. Gets it to Zach Sloan. Also one of the starters, Jaden Ignacio, along with number 2, Luke Ogle. And finishing out the starters as that jump shot is taken. No good, rebounded by the Knights. The final starter for the Fighting Squirrels is number 15, Vernon Fraley. A lot of returning starters from last year. And here's DJ Green with the ball, one of the starters for the Knights, along with Sam Jex, Tyler Karchner, Kai Olson, and Koa Baker. Baker kick out to Olson, takes the deep 3, and that's good. First points of the night go to Olson, excuse me. We were talking about how Olson has been kind of hot and cold. Getting a 3-point shot like that to fall right away, that's a good start for him.
That's the start you want if you're Kai, just what you wanted. You saw the animation from him there as well. Good start for Kai.
Here's the 3, and that's no good. Rebounded by Fraley. Kicks out to Ignacio. Good move there against Jex. Kick out, here's another 3. That one good for Quentin Hart. I guess that brings up another point for Southern Virginia. You can't allow second chance opportunities to these Fighting Squirrels.
Yeah, you can tell those guards, after those offensive rebounds, they're going to penetrate and create some more space for the outside shooters. And second, third three-pointer attempt there was good for the Fighting Squirrels.
Ogle able to come away with that takeaway. He's on the outside for 3. That one's good. So 2 quick three-pointers for Mary Baldwin. Exactly what the Knights did not want to have happen.
Yeah, Ogle shooting 36% from 3, 45% from the field. You know, he's not a guy that you want to give open looks.
Jack's able to get away from Ignacio. Shot clock winding down. Here's Baker working one-on-one. They're going to let him ISO. He's tripped on the way to the basket. Foul be called on number 12, Zach Sloan. And an early substitution for the Knights in number 23, Alex Weiland. He will come in for Tyler Karchner. You know, Karchner not quite being able to be that perimeter defender that they would need to be against an outside shooting forward like Ogle is.
Yeah, obviously Alex Weiland, a pretty quick defender. Want him there to be able to close out on those shots.
Green doing a good job at getting that ball on the inbound. Weiland hand off to Jex. Shot clock winding down once again. Green gonna try to put up a shot, trying to draw the foul, and Olsen jumping out of bounds, trying to save it, will step out of bounds, or I guess they're gonna call a shot clock violation. And I mentioned I would talk a little bit about Jaden Ignacio, number 0, who has the ball right now. In last year's home game for Southern Virginia against the Fighting Squirrels, this game was within reach. I think it was within like maybe 2 points, and the Knights had a very good chance to win, but then Ignacio went off from behind the three-point line, hitting 4 3-pointers in that second half to put it away. And that 3 from the corner is good for Fraley.
Yeah, and there's that length there that's going to be really crucial for Luke Ogle, the forward for the Fighting Squirrels. Pop out, swing pass to the left, and an open shot again for 3. All 9 points, 3-pointers for the Fighting Squirrels so far.
Baker tempted the idea of a corner 3, decided against it. Jex gonna take a deep 3. That one's good. Both the 3s for Southern Virginia from that far side.
And I really like that quick release of Sam Jex. We've seen it down the stretch here more and more this season. That'll be important against, again, a really nice shooting team, Mary Baldwin. Nice move by Ignacio.
Indeed, getting it up high and away from the outstretched arm of Kai Olsen. Doing a good job of avoiding the block.
Despite his size disadvantage, that's a dangerous player in a game like this where he can penetrate, act like he's going to the hoop, and then pop out if he wants to. Nice start for Kai.
Kai now 2 for 2 from the field with 5 points. The Knights now down by 3. Seen a lot of good ball movement here from Mary Baldwin. Ogle working against Olsen. Shot clock winding down. Fraley working against Weiland, puts it off the glass, off the back of the rim and in. Just a lot of activity from Mary Baldwin offensively. Green for 3. Off the back of the rim, no good. Rebounded, one-handed by Luke Ogle. Good crossover from Ignacio and good finish at the rim.
Man,
He's just
quick.
so shifty, yeah, so quick.
Yeah, and Coach Bevel's going to get Phil Harris in there, keep him down low, and so it's not so easy for Ignacio to shift to the right so quickly like he did just there.
Olsen trying to drive and gets it knocked away. Dives for it on the ground,
Good
gets to
hustle.
Weiland. Shot clock winding down. Jack step back 3. That's good from the corner. Jex with 6 points now. Knights down by 4. Little floater in the paint, and that's going to be good. Wide open, the most open shot we've seen all night so far.
And, this is trending in pretty much the opposite direction of that their first matchup did. Was pretty low scoring, only 22 points for the Knights in that first half, that first matchup. Not too much more from Mary Baldwin, tough pass.
Green doing a good job getting back defensively, forcing the miss. Jex able to save it from going out of bounds and able to avoid traveling as well, which was even more impressive. Baker going up and blocked by Ogle. Nice, do a good job of getting back on defense. Ogle kicks the corner, trying to feed it back inside, and a foul is called late. Gonna call it on Koa Baker. It looked like it was gonna be a very easy turnover for Southern Virginia, but then the whistle was blown. And so it'll stay with the Fighting Squirrels. We'll have a media timeout here. And during this quick break, I want to remind you, you're watching this on Knights Broadcasting. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe, comment down below, and let us know how we can improve this viewing presentation of Southern Virginia athletics. Your feedback is appreciated. Thank you so much for supporting Knights Broadcasting. So score right now 17-11, and already we've seen a lot of fireworks. Both teams shooting 75% from three-point, both 3 for 4, matching 3 for 3. main difference, though, is that the Fighting Squirrels have been able to get off 4 more shots than Southern Virginia.
Yeah, you know, a couple of sloppy turnovers there turn into points in the transition, but, you know, like you said, it's kind of turning into a back and forth from 3, but I don't think it's that bad because the shots that the Knights have been open.
Yeah.
And they've been able to convert. So, you know, a good start except for those 2 possessions that turned into points the other way for the Knights. So offensively, very well done, but defensively needs to clean it up just a little bit.
And it's also just so hard when you have a team that's just so good at shooting from the outside like Mary Baldwin is. Literally everybody on the floor is a 3-point shooting weapon. And so you kind of just have to pick, well, which one do I want to give the chance to shoot against me? And honestly, the answer is not really an easy one. Got some substitutions for the Fighting Squirrels. Got number 3, Logan Barber, as well as number 22, Mekhi Reed. Mikai.
And I like that, you know, pretty quick decision by Coach Belleville to put Phil Harris there in on Jaden Ignacio.
Another 3 knocked down by Ogle. And like you said, you know, you look at Ignacio, and Phil Harris is a really good player to have against him. Very similar quickness and ability. Kick out to the outside. Baker gonna drive in, off the glass and in. Nice strong take to the rim.
And that's the thing for the Knights, you just got to trust, you know, keep having very efficient offensive possessions. You know, Mary Baldwin, you know, if they make all of them, they make all of them. Just got to make sure you contest them and hope for the best.
Knights now out of sorts defensively. Harris able to knock it away and get a fast break off the left hand. That's going to get tipped in. It was still inside the rim. Harris not able to make the layup. It looked like Harris maybe got a little tripped up because he went up with as if he was going with his left hand, then switched to his right hand. I don't know if he lost control of the ball, but that's about it. As open as of an opportunity you're going to have all night.
Yeah, I know that's one of the disadvantages of being a smaller player is you feel that pressure coming from behind you. So you're expecting someone to come up and challenge. So he wants to get that off as quick as possible, but it made him rush it a little bit too much.
They're going to call a foul on the way up, and it's going to count. The foul's called against Weiland, and a great finish there from Reed. Reed, the sophomore forward from Virginia Beach. Take a wild guess as to which state that's in. And so it will be an and 1 free throw. And that's good. Seeing some more full court pressure from Mary Baldwin. Green trying to drive in. Kick out to Olsen. And goes up strong against the defense,
Nice.
able to get the friendly roll. Had 3 defenders in his general vicinity, able to knock it down. Here's the 3 from the outside. That one good by Tucker Shiflett, freshman guard from Charlottesville, Virginia. Nice feed inside to Olsen. Kicks it out to Baker. Good kick out to
Good
Weiland in the corner. And that's good. Like you said, good penetration, kick out to the corner. Weiland able to knock it down.
Again, you got to like what you see offensive from the Knights, shooting really well too.
Ogle knocks down another 3.
Yeah, so I mean, they're shooting at an absurd rate. And so for the Knights, again, you just got to close out, do your best you can, and you got to imagine that it'll slow down at some points, and the Knights can claw their way back into it.
Media timeout here, and like you said, an insane shooting percentage right now for both teams, really. But Mary Baldwin now 6 of 7 from behind the 3-point line. The Knights 4 for 5 at 80%. I mean, both teams shooting well just on the floor in general. Mary Baldwin 73.3%, Southern Virginia 63.6%. And I mean, if you're a fan of high efficiency shooting and high scoring basketball, you've tuned into the right game tonight because that's exactly what this is becoming. But kind of to your point, Quinn, you got to imagine at some point it's going to stop falling as frequently. The percentages is going to go down. And if it doesn't, then it's just the most absurd thing that I've ever seen.
Yes.
There's record books, I'm sure, that would be taking a close look at this game. Maybe there's some records being broken here. But with 11 minutes and 43 seconds to go, it just kind of feels like right now that Southern Virginia is doing a great job of doing what they can to keep up. because, again, Mary Baldwin's just been that efficient.
Yeah, they just got to keep within range at this point, right? And, you know, you see the strength of Mary Baldwin on display early. You know, really quick guards, or really everyone is quick. Even, you know, Luke Ogle able to free up some space for himself on the outside. They're having to really, you know, play chess here on the Southern Virginia bench, trying to find out which matchup is best for Tyler Karchner to keep him in there. But, you know, quickness and shooting is on full display here for the Fighting Squirrels.
It absolutely is, because all 5 of the players on the floor for them are both able to get a good dribble drive, both able to spot up and shoot. And so it makes it to where you have players like Tyler Karchner, who's more of a traditional post player. It makes it a tough situation for him to be in. Step back 3. That one no good. Never thought I'd say a missed 3 for Mary Baldwin.
Yeah.
Here's Green with it. Green driving in. Going up and over, getting it to roll in. You could tell he wanted to get up there to slam it.
And yeah, if you're the Knights, you know, keep going back to the basket. Like you said at the beginning, Dawson, don't get into a three-point shooting race. You know, missed three-point shot for the Fighting Squirrels had to happen. It did. Back on the other end with a nice bucket inside.
Hand off there to Barber. Good feed inside. Ignacio knocked away. Weiland able to get it to Green. Great effort there.
I was about to say, Knights have been very disciplined on those last 2 defensive possessions. Staying low, staying in the passing lanes.
And Weiland doing a good job making sure Ignacio couldn't get to it. And another shot from Olsen. That one off the back of the rim. Rebounded by Shiflett. Shiflett's already knocked down a 3 so far today, as well as Fraley. Fraley working on Weiland. Good hesitation, up and strong, no good. Rebounded by Baker. About as good of a move as you can get for Fraley. Here is Green for 3, and that's good. Brings it within 6. Good awareness there by Baker, able to hand it off to DJ Green on the outside. The Knights now 5 for 6 from behind the three-point line. A lot of that comes down to just the good quality three-pointers they've taken. Deep 3 there, no good, rebounded by Baker. Working inside, going up strong, up and in. That brings it within 4, and a timeout called for Mary Baldwin. So it's like you said, Quinn, the shooting's got to go down sometime, and the Knights just need to be patient, play their game, and it's working right now, bringing it back within 4.
Yeah, I like what I've seen on those last 3 or 4 possessions on both sides of the ball. It had to happen at some point. You know, more than likely we're not going to go, you know, 19 for 20 from 3. And they take advantage of a couple of turnovers and missed shots, and they're back in business.
They absolutely are. I want to real quick give a shout out to our athletic partners: River Crossing Apartments, Straws Drinks and Eats, Mill Creek Orthodontics, Cornerstone Bank, Pop John's locally owned and operated, Vinyl Cuts, Katana Sushi and Hibachi Express, The Beeve Sweet Souvenirs, and Grace Automotive. Thank you so much for your support of Southern Virginia Athletics. We appreciate you. So now coming out of the timeout, the Knights doing a good job of closing the gap deficit-wise by getting good drives into the paint, good kickouts to open threes like DJ Green had just a moment ago, and then Baker doing his thing. And so now we see Hart with the ball.
And because of that outside shooting so far from both teams, pretty clean game. Mary Baldwin only getting to the line once, Southern Virginia not yet. So that'll be one thing they want to do a little better job of down the stretch, is getting to that free throw line and taking advantage of those 3 points.
And a good dribble drive there from Logan Barber. One thing that Mary Baldwin's doing a great job of is using the players that are handing them the ball as a screen. Really, you know, chipping shoulders basically with them, or rubbing shoulders rather. Make it to where they can get better drives to the basket. Olsen gonna go up strong with a shot off the back of the rim, no good. Rebounded by Fraley. Olsen started off hot, had a 3 and a 2, and then has missed a couple of shots since, but has had some good looks. Here's another 3. Off the front of the rim, no good, rebounded by Jex.
Nice, good job by Phil Harris to keep moving his feet and force that pass to the outside. Another missed 3.
Harris in the corner. Getting it down low to Baker, who's basically triple teamed down low. Fed to Olsen, gets Fraley to go up, and fouled. Fraley basically landed on Kyle Olsen's shoulder. And really surprised that there was no whistle blown when Koa was going into the paint. The defender kind of flopped, for lack of a better term, because that's what he basically did. And the refs just kind of let it play out.
Yeah, it seems like they might be letting them play quite a bit here in the first half, which, you know, if it's not going either way, that's perfectly fine, obviously.
Absolutely.
Just want to keep it consistent.
First free throw from Olsen is good. The second rattles in.
And you got to think that Phil Harris will be out there for the majority of the game day because of those quick guards. You know, Jaden Ignacio not even in there, but still keeping Phil Harris on those quick guards.
Which is an interesting point because, you know, if he's the main guy that's been able to guard Ignacio, he's going to need some breaks at some point, and Harris draws a foul there, or commits a foul, rather.
Yeah, that was good defense there, but just able to get him in the air. Nice pump fake there from Hart.
So media timeout here, just under 8 minutes remaining in this half. The Knights down by 4, and I'm sure that many coaches will look at Phil Harris, and again, not the tallest of the bunch, and so you're thinking, why are you jumping? More than likely not going to get a block there. And so that's just kind of a discipline thing where brief lapse in judgment leads to a foul. And especially in a game where you pointed out, he's going to be needed defensively throughout the entirety of this game. And so I think from here on out, you want to avoid having him or you want to have him avoid possibilities of committing fouls. You play really safe, but also make sure to stay in front of his man because he's quick enough to do so, just to make sure he can be in there to cover Ignacio, because as I mentioned before, Ignacio is one of those guys that if he's needed, he can go off. He creates space like nobody else on the floor does. We've seen him have some great crossovers, really open up the floor for him. He can do the same thing by stepping back from the outside and knocking down some threes when needed.
Yeah, and you know, Jaden Ignacio and Quentin Hart, they're the primary ball carriers in there. So to your point, Dawson, they're going to have to take Phil Harris out at some point and find some kind of answer when he's not in there so Phil can avoid foul trouble.
So as the timeout comes to an end here.
The timeout, the Fighting Squirrels lead your Knights.
Again, a 4-point game here between the top team in the USA South Conference and Mary Baldwin in Southern Virginia, who is second to last in the conference. And at the free throw line is Quentin Hart, senior guard from Herndon, Virginia.
But Phil, just with one foul so far, so you got to think they'll try to squeeze as many minutes out of him to end the last 8 minutes of this first half as possible.
And also kind of the mentality of, well, you can rest when halftime comes. Second free throw from Hart is no good, rebounded by Baker.
And as good as they are shooting from the outside, some of their players do struggle at the foul line. So one thing to think about as this game goes on.
Baker, and off to Jex. Good job defensively there from Sloan to get there. Baker, quick three, and that's good. Baker didn't even really have his feet set. His feet kind of crossed over.
Looked a little off balance there, but man, it's a good night shooting the basketball.
And he knew exactly that it was going in. And speaking of Ignacio, we mentioned Harris. Ignacio's back on the floor along with the rest of the starting five. And here's a three from Ignacio. That no good, rebounded by Baker.
And you mentioned Ignacio, been the primary ball carrier, not shooting much from the outside so far, but he can let it rip from three.
Green, fadeaway jumper. They're going to call a foul on the floor against Kai Olsen. Trying to talk with the ref, and the ref basically saying that he had lunged at the player. Not sure who it was who landed on the floor. So the Fighting Squirrels are now only up by one. Good kick out to Ogle for three. And spot up shot is good again.
Yeah, Kyle Olsen got caught too deep inside in the paint. Left Ogle wide open from three.
Gonna hand it off to Baker. Ogle leading the way with 12 points so far. Trying to feed it inside to Green, who's able to recover it. Shot clock winding down. They're gonna call a carry here as the ball did come up and he kind of went underneath it. went up around his shoulder. Usually if the ball bounces up high enough to get to your shoulder, it's more than likely going to get called.
And as much as you can expect a miss from 3 after so many consecutive makes, same can be said for as many consecutive misses that they had. You know, they're bound to get one. So got to make sure you close out and not stray too far from that 3-point line like there.
Ogle that time off the back of the rim, a very low arch that time comparatively. Baker gonna hand it off to Jex. Jex quick 3 release, and that's off the front of the rim, no good. He's hit a couple so far. Harris working against Ignacio, able to create some space down low and knock it down.
And he's able to stop on a dime too. He had Phil up in the air, and you know, obviously Phil is going back towards the baseline, and Ignacio was able to pull up and free up space for himself.
Green for 3. Off the back of the rim, no good. Rebounded by Ignacio, and he got up. Again, great move up with the left hand and in. And a timeout called by Coach Trace Bevel in Southern Virginia with just over 5 minutes to go. The Fighting Squirrels, just like that, extend the lead to 8 points.
Well, and you could tell, you know, that those last couple of possessions when after they got within 1, the Knights got a little off their game. Took a couple of quick threes, which they've been shooting the ball well, but they don't want to get too caught up in that because they know that's not their bread and butter. And then nice couple of dribble drives there by Jaden Ignacio and put them back up by 8.
I mean, again, you talk about being able to stop on a dime. You know, he has a quick, hard dribble, stops real quick, goes back, and then, you know, before you know it, it's just completely open. And then again, even with contention, 3 defenders in the area, Ignacio able to move in the air, get the left hand up, able to throw up that shot, and able to get it to go in. I mean, again, I told you before, Ignacio is a player to watch here in this game as well as in the USA South Conference. Hand off to Jex. Colin Griffith subbed in during the timeout. Knights a little slow moving the ball. Baker kicks it out to Griffith. Able to get a mid-range jumper up and good.
Good shot.
Did a good job of contributing in the offense right away.
Yeah, good poise there to not be afraid to take a couple of dribbles inside the line there and free up some space because that 3-pointer wasn't open.
Ignacio coming off the screen. Here's Fraley. Good feed inside. My goodness, the vision and quickness from Quentin Hart. It just feels like the entire Fighting Squirrel offense just operates at a different speed. Baker going up with the contact, not able to make the shot, but he will go to the free throw line. They're going to call it on Fraley, his second foul of the game. He's also another one that in last year's game here in the barn, he was really a big contributor, especially down low, able to create a lot of space, get a lot of second chance looks. Here's Baker at the free throw line. First free throw is good. Baker, a very reliable free throw shooter. Got a substitution here, number 22, Mikai Reed. He's been in the game a couple times tonight. Second free throw rattles in good for Baker. Baker now at 9 points.
It'll be important to see if Knights can keep this within reach with a couple of their quicker defenders on the bench right now.
Ogle somehow able to get the rebound over Olsen and Baker.
It's a good job staying low there by DJ Green.
Olsen doing a good job at closing out on the outside. And
good defense.
Results in a turnover forced by Jex. And Olsen going up strong against Ogle. Draws the foul. Great look ahead there for Baker. And Olsen with the contact, able to put at least a shot attempt up. And we'll have a media timeout here. 3 minutes and 33 seconds left in the half. Olsen has a chance to bring it back within 4. He hit 2 free throws earlier today. I was hoping to see him continue to shoot free throws well.
Turn your attention to the center of the court for tonight's game ball presentation.
Got a game ball presentation, as this game is sponsored by Cornerstone Bank.
Athletic Director Dietrich Ryden and Night Athletics.
This is Athletic Director Dietrich Ryden.
This game ball to the president of Cornerstone Bank, Steve Christ.
This is Steve Christ, president of Cornerstone Bank, who's being awarded the game ball here tonight during this break. Once again, Cornerstone Bank sponsoring tonight's game. So you love to see stuff like that. Once again, want to give a shout out to Cornerstone Bank. Thank you for sponsoring tonight's contest. And again, it's just been just as exciting as we hoped it to be. A lot of outside shooting, but also the Knights doing a good job of penetrating on the inside, making some tough shots. It's just been some exciting basketball.
It has
overall.
been. It's been very high flying in terms of outside shooting. You know, both teams pretty efficient on the offensive side of the ball. So yeah, if you're a basketball fan, this is a good one to watch.
And we'll once again have Olsen at the free throw line.
Kyle Olsen to the line.
Olsen right now has 7 points in the game. First free throw is good.
We talked about that Kai's been pretty hot and cold, not only just general shooting from the field, but especially at the line, and he's kind of been fighting it for the past month and a half or so.
That one rattles out. Baker able to
Nice
get the rebound and gets fouled trying to put up another shot. The foul's called on Mikai Reed.
Yeah, lots of contact from both sides there.
So it's not a shooting foul. But again, that offensive rebound potentially be huge for Southern Virginia if they can inbound it here, and they do. Baker working against Ogle. Good ball movement here. Green getting inside, gets an opening up. No good off the back of the rim. Ogle with the rebound. And a great opportunity there for Southern Virginia to go 2 for 2 there. Or I guess 2 for 1 rather.
Yeah, it's another good example of Quentin Hart just going really tight off those screens, and it's making it super difficult for DJ Green or whoever the defender is to follow. And it's creating a little bit of confusion there on the switch or whether to stay on your man.
Like you said, switching, and then of course you have some mismatches. You know, like for instance, if there's a screen set on Phil Harris when he's in there guarding Ignacio, and all of a sudden, and a good athletic layup there, but missed, rebounded by Griffith.
That's good contest though of Cole Baker just staying up tall.
And Baker going in strong, draws the foul, and I believe this one is called on Ogle. Indeed it is. Ogle gets his second foul, and so now you have to start considering Ogle possibly being in foul trouble at some point. I'm sure that's the intention, because he's the main presence they have in the paint.
Yeah, I think he looked over to their coach and to see what direction they're going to go after these free throws.
First one knocked down by Baker.
I'm sure Matt Griggs is taking a good look at things and see where he wants to go with regards to Ogle. But as you said, Dawson, he's really their only, big inside rebounding presence in terms of size.
I know there was a similar situation last year where Ogle got in a bit of foul trouble and wasn't able to see a lot of time in the second half, and so what they did is they turned to Fraley, again, who can operate on the outside as well as the inside, and so if that is the case, they know they can. That's a 3 up, no good, rebounded by Green.
And you saw the Knights go to that pyramid press there at the center of the court, putting some pressure on the Fighting Squirrels coming down the court.
Good
Nice
spin move from Green. Spinning back, pump fake, spinning back toward the basket.
Bit of a shake there.
The dream shake, rather. I mean, that was fantastic. Able to bring it back within 1. So we'll see if Ignacio kind of goes on a terror again.
Good job at staying down.
Baker drawing the offensive foul on Reed. Doing a great job setting his feet on the quick spin move.
And again, no panic in their defense there. You can see there's a little bit of a miscommunication between Kai and Koa on who to take on the perimeter. But Koa didn't panic, didn't get up in the air, because there could have been a foul drawn there, but instead draws a charge going back the other way.
Just great recovery, and Olsen able to come up and help. Green doing a good job dribbling it out. Now 2 minutes left in the half. The Knights have a chance to take their first lead since the opening seconds. Miscommunication there on the far side. Cut inside. Olsen able to make a move up and under, and the Knights take back the lead. 41-40 is the score. The crowd coming alive here as well as the Knights bench. Driving in, up and good. Once again, patience being shown by the Fighting Squirrels and Zach Sloan for 2. Green feeds it inside to Baker, pump fake, up and under, and gets it to fall with the foul. Foul is called on Zach Sloan. That's his second.
And great use of those ball fakes. You could see there DJ Green on that shake that we saw just a couple of possessions ago, then Kai, then Koa. Perfection on those ball fakes.
They're starting to see something's working, right? If you're pump faking, they're jumping for it, you're going to draw the foul, you're going to have more open shots, and they're knocking them down and getting to the free throw line.
And, you know, Mary Bolton not in foul trouble, but definitely at a point that they got to start thinking about things as they have 4 players, 4 regulars with 2 fouls each. So they got to be careful going in for the final minute and 13 here this half.
That's a very good point. That free throw knocked down by Baker. Baker now with 14 in the game, and the Knights up by 2. Interesting strategy here. Harris now guarding Quentin Hart. And Fraley able to have a little fadeaway jumper there. Yeah, so we have Phil Harris guarding Quentin Hart and DJ Green guarding Ignacio. Driving to the basket, draws the contact. No foul called, and Green gets his own rebound. Baker wanting a 3 at first. Knights a chance to extend the lead before half. Shot clock winding down. Baker going up with a shot off the glass and in over top of Ogle. Somehow, some way gets it to fall. It's now 13 seconds left in the half. Green guarding Ignacio. Uses the screen, step back. Putting up a shot, and that's no good. The Knights go into half leading 46-44 over the #1 team in the USA South Conference. I mean, we've talked about all year long of Southern Virginia finishing the half or finishing games. They absolutely finished that first half on a high note.
That was the best job they've done all season, ending a half or a game. And you got to imagine they're going into that locker room super confident with the end of that first half. Shooting the ball, you know, finishing, and on defense, especially defensively, those last 2, 3, or 4 possessions. Really disciplined, staying down, not getting the foul trouble, and forcing them into tough shots.
Absolutely, and so with that, we will turn the time over for some halftime festivities. But folks, don't go away. We have a good one here in the barn at Southern Virginia. We'll be right back.
Chelsea Whetstone, are you here tonight? She gone? All right. There's no way. Brett Schroeder, where are? There's no. No, you don't want to? You don't want like one of your kids to do it? Okay, he'll do it. He'll do it. Yeah. Brenna Clyde. Where you at, Brenna? I know you here. She ain't here. Next one. Abby Southern. All right, Abby, come on down. Our last one, Madison Armstrong. Did I read that right? Yeah, Armstrong, you here? Never mind, Brett's not gonna do it. No, Maddie Armstrong? No? Okay, next one. Ryan Armstrong, are you here? Isaac? Yeah, Isaac, come on. All right, Isaac Armstrong, let's go, yay. All right, Arden, so that's 1, 2, we need one more. We need one more, dang, no one here. Where Jimbo at? Did Jimbo leave too? Bruh. Okay, next one, sorry. That's a blank one. Okay. Allie Weiland. All right, our 3 contestants, come on down here. I guess, wait, where are we starting? Isaac, start down here. We down here. We're going to start down here. Our wonderful showgirl tonight, Jairik, will demonstrate our skills challenge. So, what you're going to do first, you'll dribble through the cones. So, like, go around a little faster. Jairik, come on. I know you run like a 4-1. So, dribble through the cones. Then when you get to the blue circle, you'll have 3 chances. No, you'll have 4 attempts to pass a ball through the hole. You don't have to, Jairik, if you don't want to. So then you'll run down. You have to make a layup. No, free throw first. So you'll make a free throw, then a corner 3, and then after that is the half court from right there. Layup, I've read the script wrong. So you grab the ball, come down, make a layup. No half court, right? We changed it. All right. Fastest one to do it out of these 3 wins the TV. And you have 2 minutes. Our official timer, AJ. Who's going first? Who's going first? Who wants to go first? Who's first? Abby, you first? Abby is first. You'll start down here, Coach. You got the timer ready, AJ? Yeah. All right, I'm going to count down. All right. You have 2 minutes. Again, you have 2 minutes to complete it. But fastest one wins. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go! TV on the line. Hey! Can't move on until you make it. So close. Hey! Abby, you're doing great. You still got 1:20. Awesome job. All right, who's next? Big Eyes? No, it's a layup. It's a layup. I'm saying that, bro. Okay, you got it. You have to be 1 minute and 4 seconds. 1 minute and 6 seconds. No, you're stopping. All right, you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Man, even with the boot. Come on, Isaac. Oh! There it is. Just a free throw now. Come on, big guy. Woo! Oh! Just a layup. Look at him go. Not even a foot injury can stop this man from a free TV. Hey! 51 seconds! Good job, Abby! Good job, big guy. Our final contestant, Courtney Olsen. Courtney, you have to be 51 seconds. Less than 51 and the TV is yours. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go! You're on, folks! Look at him She's moving, folks. Ooh. Oh. Oh. Come on, Courtney.
She used to play basketball. Right?
Lay. Sir. Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, Courtney.
Kane is in the building.
Alright, already the show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when you come on the show. What's up? Alright, already the show goes on all night till the
There it
morning.
is.
Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when you come on the show goes on. Have you ever had the feeling that you was being
Hey, just the layup, just the layup. Just use that one, just use that one.
Put chains
Never
all
mind.
on your soul and put whips up on your back. They be lying through they teeth. Hope you slip up off your path. I don't switch up, I
It was
just
a
laugh.
valiant
Put my
effort,
kicks up on
Courtney.
they wrists, unaffected by they threats. Then get busy
Isaac
on they
Armstrong,
act.
you
That's how
are
that
our
shit sound
winner.
made, man. That's how my daddy raised me. That glittering may not be gold, don't let nobody play me. If you are my homeboy, you never have to pay me.
You can double or
Go and
nothing
put
with a
your
half court.
hands up when times is hard, you stand
Nah, I'm
up.
kidding, kid.
LUP the man,
Nah,
cause a
nah, nah,
brand
nah.
that the fans trust. So even if they ban us, they'll never slow my
I don't
plans
know.
up.
Yeah, just take it. You're good. Thank you to all for competing. Thank you to Cornerstone Bank for sponsoring tonight's game. Stay tuned for an amazing second half coming right up.
One in the air for the people ain't here. Two in the air for the father that's there. Three in the air for the kids in the ghetto. Four for the kids that don't wanna be there. None for the niggas trying to hold him back. Five in the air for the teachers not scared to tell those kids that's living in the ghetto that the holding back that the world is theirs. Yeah, yeah, the world is yours. I was once that little boy, terrified of the world. Now I'm on a world tour. I will give up everything, even start a world war for these ghetto girls and boys. I'm rapping around the world for Africa to New York, Haiti then I detour, Oakland out to Auckland, Gaza Strip to Detroit. Say hip hop only destroy. Tell them look at me, boy. I hope your son don't have a gun and never be a D-boy. Already the show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when you come up. The show goes on. Alright, already the show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when you come up. The show goes on. So no matter what you've been through, no matter what you into, no matter what you see, when you look outside your window, brown grass or green grass, picket fence or barbed wire, never ever put them down. You just lift your arms higher, raise them till your arms tired. Let them know you there, that you struggling, surviving, that you gon' persevere. Yeah, ain't nobody leaving, nobody going home. Even if they turn the lights out, the show is going on. Alright, already the show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so strong. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when you come up. The show goes on. Alright, already the show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when you come up. The show goes on.
I got loyalty, got royalty inside my DNA. Quarter piece, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got power, poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA. I got hustle, though, ambition, flow inside my DNA. I was born like this, and born like this, immaculate conception. I transform like this, perform like this, wish out you a new weapon. I don't contemplate, I meditate, then off your head. This that put the kids to bed. This that I got realness, I just kill cause it's in my DNA. I got millions, I got riches building in my DNA. I got dark, I got evil that rot inside my DNA. I got off, I got trouble, some heart inside my DNA. I just win again, then win again like Wimbledon I serve. Yeah, that's him again. The sound the engine in is like a bird. You see fireworks and Corvette tires skirt the boulevard. I know how you work, I know just who you are. See, use a. Your hormones probably switch inside your DNA. Problem is, all that sucker shit inside your DNA. Daddy probably snitch, heritage inside your DNA. Backbone don't exist, born on side a jellyfish I gauge. See my pedigree, most definitely don't tolerate the front. Shit I been through probably offend you, this is Paula's oldest son. I know murder, conviction, burners, boosters, burglars, ballers, dead, redemption, scholars, fathers dead with kids and I wish I was fed. Forgiveness, yeah. Soldier's DNA, born inside the beast. My expertise checked out in second grade. When I was 9, on sale motel, we didn't have nowhere to stay. At 29, I've done so well, hit cartwheel in my estate. And I'm gon' shine like I'm supposed to, antisocial extrovert. And excellent meaning extra work. And absentness, what the you heard. And passiveness never struck my nerve. And that's a riff from
And we're back for the start of second half action between the Fighting Squirrels of Mary Baldwin and your Knights of Southern Virginia. The Knights closed out the first half fantastically, if that's an actual word. I'm pretty sure it is. Leading now 46-44 over the #1 team in the USA South Conference, and doing it in their own fashion. It wasn't like they started off shooting threes very, very well, still a very high percentage. But Quinn, you and I were talking that they just simply did a good job of getting to the basket, drawing fouls, and just doing a good job at attempting more free throws than Mary Baldwin has.
Yeah, really. I mean, they stuck to their brand of basketball, as you said, Dawson. They started out, going stroke for stroke from 3 with Mary Baldwin, which, kept Mary Baldwin in front for most of that half. I think those 6 3-pointers that the Knights made in the first half were in the first 10 minutes, possibly. And then the rest of the way, drive to the basket, utilize that pump fake, get guys in the air, go to the line, make those free throws, and then on the defensive side of things, those last 3 or 4 possessions were really picture perfect for the Knights.
Absolutely, and looking at it right now also, the Knights doing a good job with fast break points, able to capitalize on good defense. They have 6 fast break points compared to Mary Baldwin's 0. And, a big thing that we've seen Southern Virginia do is do a good job of mixing up matchups defensively. We saw Phil Harris guard Jaden Ignacio for a lot of that first half, and then later on they transitioned to DJ Green guarding him and Phil Harris guarding Quentin Hart instead, because we've talked about the quickness and the shiftiness of the guards for Mary Baldwin and how effective that has been in them coming off screens, getting to the basket, or getting open three-point looks. But as we've said before, it has been some fantastic basketball being played. Unfortunately for Southern Virginia, not really able to function with one of their highest scorers on their team, Tyler Karchner, just due to the fact that everybody on the floor for Mary Baldwin at any given time as someone who can operate as both a guard, an outside shooter, or someone in the paint. So Tyler Karchner, being more of a traditional post player, doesn't really have that much of a matchup. He was starting in the second half. We'll see what he can do against Luke Ogle, who had 12 points just from threes in that first half.
And Ogle, one of their biggest threats inside, once those guards penetrate, he spends most of his time on the perimeter, which is what's made it so hard for Karchner to find his matchup.
The Knights start off with the ball. Olsen, corner 3, that's good. Olsen starting the second half like he did the first with a three-pointer. Olsen now with 10 points in the game, the second player for Southern Virginia to reach double digits in scoring.
And Olsen having as good of a game as he's had in a while.
Green having to chase down Ignacio on the dribble drive and is going to foul him on the shot. So Ignacio will go to the free throw line and shoot 2.
And considering how quick these guards are and how shifted they are, the Knights have done a really good job of staying out of foul trouble. I think that's DJ Green's first night with 2 fouls on the day, I believe. But a good job being disciplined. We saw a couple of times in that first half, Cole Baker not leaving his feet, staying down and drawing a couple of offensive fouls.
Free throw for Ignacio is good. That brings him to 9 points in the game, just behind Ogle, who I mentioned before has 12. Second free throw is good.
Fighting Squirrels going to start with this full court press. DJ Green able to break that nicely.
Here's Baker, who had 16 points in that first half. Good feed inside to Karchner, but taken away by Ogle. Good strong hands, able to snatch it away. Creating separation is Ignacio, rebounded by Karchner on the missed layup. Baker going up against a double team. They're going to call a foul here against
Foul
number
call on
12, Zach Sloan.
His third.
That's Sloan's third foul. You mentioned the Knights doing a good job of staying out of foul trouble. Mary Baldwin, as you've said before, is not necessarily in foul trouble, but more fouls than they would like to have. Trying to inbound it to Jex, and DJ Green able to recover that one before it goes out of bounds. Baker pump fake, going up with left hand up
Nice
and in.
pump fake.
Mary Baldwin tried something right there that was very reminiscent of what North Carolina Wesleyan did just a couple days ago, where they would collapse down, or they would go over top of the screen and double team the player they were defending, and then let someone go free, but just try to apply enough pressure to force a turnover. I believe it was the North Carolina Wesleyan. That three, no good, rebounded by Baker. Green, jump shot, no good. Rebounded by Zach Sloan. And Karchner's getting in position. It's just some of those, the reach of Ongle is just a little bit longer. And the ball just hasn't quite bounced his way. Here's Fraley for three, and that's good from the corner.
Yeah, again, it's still an adjustment for Karchner, having to be out a little bit further on the perimeter than he typically is. So it's just a big adjustment for him defensively right now.
Here's Baker. Feeding inside to Karchner and not able to get control of it as the pass is really low. The Knights clearly trying to establish some sense of presence in the paint with Karchner, just not able to really get anything going.
And you can tell they're trying to feed him. They're trying to get him jump started here in the second half.
Good kick out to Fraley. And fouling him on the shot is Karchner as he was trying to close out hard, and he will be subbed out rather quickly in favor of Alex Weiland. And again, it goes back to just the matchup situation. Fraley will shoot 3 free throws. First one is good for Fraley. Fraley now with 11. Second one is good. And here comes Weiland.
Checking in for the Knights.
So the Knights quickly realizing that trying to get into the paint is just not working, at least not in that way. Third free throw is good. And the Fighting Squirrels take back the lead. Here's Jex. Baker pump fake, driving in, going off the glass and in. That brings him to 20.
Yeah, the Squirrels are really just biting on those pump fakes from Koa Baker, and he's just living off of free throws and good finishes on the inside.
He's only shot 1 3-pointer tonight, and it went in. So when you're able to knock down threes, pump fakes are going to work more often than not. And Sloan able to get the nice floater to fall. Looked like it was going to be way wide there for a moment, but it got the friendly roll.
Knights are still in a good spot. They've been able to weather any strong and aggressive start the Fighting Squirrels might have been looking for.
And Mary Baldwin has Luke Ogle defending Baker with his length, able to prevent any sort of outside shot for Baker. Feed inside to Green, knocked away, able to jump on it. And a jump ball, that's going to go back to Mary Baldwin. Green may have been picked up off the floor trying to get to the ball there for a moment. And so you might be able to argue some foul somewhere, but the easier and probably safer call is a jump ball.
Yeah, but I'm sure that probably the play that they drew up, having Kai Olsen feeding DJ Green on the inside, allowing Kai Olsen's man to converge on DJ Green to go for that steal.
Hand off to Ignacio. Kick to the corner. And going up, a block is called on Green on the dribble drive by Hart.
Foul called
Yeah,
on
I think
DJ
Green might have been
Green.
inside that
His third.
restricted arc.
Media
And
timeout.
Green has his third foul now, so that him in a little bit of foul trouble at this point. Of a media timeout here with 15:52 remaining in the second half. Knights down by 1 to the Fighting Squirrels of Mary Baldwin. During this timeout, I want to once again give a shout out to our athletic partners, local businesses here in Buena Vista, Virginia. We got River Crossing Apartments, Straws Drinks and Eats, Mill Creek Orthodontics, Cornerstone Bank, Papa John's, locally owned and operated, Vinyl Cuts, Katana Sushi and Hibachi Express, The Beeve, Sweet Souvenirs, and Grace Automotive. Thank you so much for your support of Southern Virginia Athletics. And offense has kind of stalled over the past couple possessions for Southern Virginia. They started off hot, able to expand their lead a little bit, and now Mary Baldwin fighting back, forcing some turnovers, and making the Knights just look a little uncomfortable offensively.
Yeah, and you know, and it goes both ways right now. I think one thing I was looking at during this timeout is not the second chance points, but the points off turnovers for Mary Baldwin, very much in their favor at 12-3. And you know, just like that jump ball that got called, those are things that the Knights are going to need to avoid, because Mary Baldwin's been doing a good job of converting on those extra possessions that they're given.
They absolutely have, and so we'll have some free throws for Quentin Hart.
Quentin Hart to the line, shooting 2.
And one thing that Mary Baldwin wasn't able to do in the first half that you mentioned, Dawson, was get to the free throw line. Only 3 attempts at the line for the Fighting Squirrels, and already, you know, this is attempt 4 or 5 pretty early here in the second half.
Clearly that was a point of emphasis of drawing fouls, get to the basket, get to the free throw line, and like you said, doing a much better job of it, and it helps him to get a 3-point lead now. Hand off to Jex, who has 6 in the game. And a takeaway here. Fraley has head to Sloan, kick back to Fraley. Sloan, back to Ogle, back to number 5, Quentin Hart for 3. So we're seeing a bit of a run now, similar to what we saw in the first half from Mary Baldwin. Not quite to the same extreme, but able to take back and grow a lead. Green down low, working against Ignacio. Once again, it's taken away by Fraley, and jumping on it is DJ Green, and it stays with the Knights on the jump ball. Green a little slow to get off the floor.
For the Knights.
Fraley doing a good job of crashing down defensively and trying to force the ball away from DJ Green. 5 seconds left on the shot clock as Phil Harris checks into the game in place of Sam Jex. Nice thing to put up a quick shot. Baker driving in off the glass. I'm going to call an offensive foul on Baker.
Offensive foul called.
And that's going to be a second.
His second.
Yeah, you can hear the coaches yell to Koa, you got to shoot that ball. That was, you know, an opportunity there where he didn't need to pump fake. He was given a little bit more space there, so that's when you got to take, because the defender was not going to bite.
And again, a lot of those pump fakes in the first half were effective because he had knocked down that quick 3. Here's Hart for a quick 3 of his own, and that one's good. He's heating up.
And this is that run that you're expecting from Mary Baldwin. They're able to get their legs back under them and shoot the ball better, just like they were at the beginning.
Olsen able to save it from going out of bounds, gets it to Green, fadeaway jumper off the rim, no good, rebounded by Ogle. Good spin move by Ignacio. Going up over top of Weiland. Weiland not wanting to jump on a pump fake. And so the Fighting Squirrels doing a great job of responding after being down at half, now leading by 11.
You can tell on the offensive side of things, you know, Coach Bella's wanting them to keep moving things around, open up some space, because those drives, you know, they were there for Koa Baker, DJ Green, everyone. If you drove, there is space to put it in the bucket with a good finish, and they haven't been moving around enough to open up that space.
Yeah, it's just a sense of not feeling as comfortable as it in the first half. I mean, it's such a broad and general term for the situation, but that's the best thing that I can think of. You can just tell there's the Fighting Squirrel defense is doing a lot to make it to where a simple shot just doesn't seem as simple as it should be. and trying to get it down low to Green. Green trying to utilize his height advantage over Ignacio, and it getting knocked away twice. And then again, you try to use Karcher at the beginning of the half. Still not working out, and so understandable frustration for the Knights, especially in a situation where the Fighting Squirrels are heating up like they are, with Hart now at 11 points. You have 3 players at 11 points apiece for the Fighting Squirrels, all led by Fraley, who has 13 to his name. And you also have 4 total players with double-digit scoring for the Fighting Squirrels. It's the Knights with it. Phil Harris taking the point. Nice low dribble from Baker to avoid the defense. Olsen trying to work inside, spin up against Ogle. It's gonna be swatted away, but stays with the Knights. 6 seconds left in the shot clock.
We saw a few times in that first half where Ogle was able to use that reach and get some blocks, but which actually turned into fouls in the first half. So first time he's able to get a clean rejection there.
Green having to put up a shot, and it's deflected. Shot clock violation. He had Weiland behind him, but with the double team, it was just really difficult to get a pass away without turning it over, especially with the shot clock winding down. So great defensive stand from Mary Baldwin out of the timeout. Ignacio for 3. That's no good. Rebounded by Green. That's advanced ahead to Harris. Good feed to Olsen, working against 2 defenders and knocked away by Fraley. And a foul called on Olsen. Olsen trying to argue something with the ref down here. Probably trying to argue that he was slapped or hit or something like that.
Colin Griffith checking in for the Knights.
We'll have Colin Griffith subbing in for DJ Green. Green with 9 points in the game. And Griffith had a jump shot late in that first half. Here's the 3 from Hart, no good, and tipped on the rebound attempt by Baker, even though Weiland was right there, and so it goes right back to the Fighting Squirrels. Have a substitution here, number 3, Logan Barber. He will come in for Zach Sloan. Inbounded to Ignacio. Feeding it down low to Fraley. He's working against Baker. Spinning back baseline. And calling offensive foul as he reached around Baker, trying to get around him. And you can't do that.
Offensive foul called on Vernon Fraley.
Well, as I'm sitting here, watching the first 7 and change here, the second half, it's not too different from how the first half started. The only difference is the Knights haven't been able to keep up offensively like they were with their hot shooting early in that first half. So they're going to need a couple of defensive stops to spark something offensively for them here.
Harris for 3. No good. Rebounded. Fought for. It's going to stay with the Knights as it's out of bounds off Fraley. Love the pass off the pick and roll from Harris to Olsen. And Olsen eventually helping to find Harris back out on the 3. So it's a good look once again, but not falling like it did, like you mentioned, Quinn, in the first half. Shot clock at 10. Harris driving in against Ignacio, not able to connect.
I like that aggressiveness by Phil. Haven't seen it too often, but when he goes, he can finish well at the rim.
Ogle able to finish off the spin move in the paint. Baker driving in off the glass. They're going to call another offensive foul on Koa Baker. This time taking the charge is Quentin Hart.
Yeah, this is the point in the game where, you don't want to start forcing things. If you're someone like Koa Baker, those drives have the work. But, get into your sets and look for that opening so there's no danger of any offensive fouls.
And just looking at the summary right now on the stat website, Southern Virginia so far being held to 7 points in this second half compared to Mary Baldwin's 22. It's just been tough sledding for the Knights. Ignacio driving in, no good on the shot, and Baker able to get the rebound. Spin move up the left hand, and foul on the way up, I believe, by Mekhi Reed. Indeed, Mekhi Reed will be guilty of the foul. That is his third. We'll have immediate timeout here with 11:36 left in this second half. So it goes back to something we've said before, Quinn, on these broadcasts, is that if the Knights are going to turn things around, now would be the perfect time. Shots have got to start falling. You got to start getting more in sync. You got to get better ball movement, and you got to get some stops defensively. It has to start right now, especially against a team that can be as streaky as anybody out there in the Fighting Squirrels. You know, they can hit a couple threes really quickly, but you got to establish consistency now and knock down some shots now.
Yeah, and I guess the promising thing is, too, that, you know, the Knights aren't down because they've been missing lots of shots. Yeah, they're not as falling as quick as they were in the first half, but, you know, they're not getting as many shots because of those turnovers.
Right.
You know, the turnovers have spiked in a hurry for Southern Virginia, and so that's something they're going to have to clean up if they want to get back in this one.
Absolutely, and with that one, once again, a reminder, you're watching this on Knights Broadcasting here on YouTube. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe, comment down below what your highlight of the game has been, as well as ways we can improve this viewing presentation of Southern Virginia athletics. We appreciate your support of Knights Broadcasting. So out of the timeout, we have Koa Baker at the free throw line after the foul from Reed. Has a chance to
Koa Baker to the line.
close the
shooting
gap deficit-wise. First free throw is up and good for Baker.
And I can't recall, Dawson, but I think that is the first or second trip for the Knights to the line in this half.
Indeed, it's been such a difference compared to the first. We had 9 free throw attempts. The Knights able to make 8 of them in that first half. And now the Knights have been so limited as they have not been able to get to the free throw line as frequently. Seeing a lot of cuts and drives to the basket, and the foul called on Weiland in the finish by Barber. And that's the name of the game for Mary Baldwin right now. I mean, to start things off, it was just three-point shooting, but right now, it's just movement both with and off the ball.
Shooting one.
Yeah, again, good job to go tight around that screen and slashing back to the middle. Showing that they're not just a perimeter shooting team, but can make their money's worth on the inside too.
That free throw by Barber, no good. Weiland driving in, going up with a shot, and is going to draw the foul and go to the free throw line. And, you know, talking about the movement of Mary Baldwin on offense, I always make the point to say that defense in basically any sport that you play is the most tiring aspect of the sport. And so then you add on to the idea of a team like Mary Baldwin just sprinting all over the place and constantly have to keep track of people, keep track of screens. As the first free throw for Weiland is good, it just makes defense that much more difficult, especially against a team where you really can't give any sort of room whatsoever. We'll see a substitution of Zach Sloan in for Quentin Hart. Here's the second free throw. Is up and good for Weiland.
And Dawson, to your point, especially against teams that don't have as much depth. I mean, that was on
Yes.
full display when the Knights ladies basketball team hosted Greensboro last week. You know, Knights running around and making Greensboro exhausted, also with those second chance opportunities. So a similar style here with Mary Baldwin running around the court and shooting lights out from three.
Kick out to Sloan for 3, and that's good. Another 3 falls for the Fighting Squirrels. They are 11 for 21 from the three-point line, shooting 52.4%. Baker Kicks it out to Harris. Jex gets good pump fake, step back three, off the side of the backboard, not able to connect.
Yeah, I don't think he was expecting Barber to get back so quickly there.
Nice float over top, rebounded by Baker. Harris driving in, finds an opening, up and in for Harris. So again, it goes from pretty good defense, leads to some easy offense, getting the rebound there, getting it down the floor, and able to find an opening. Ignacio up to the left, and good.
Yeah, his ability to just pull up, again, we talked about it in the first half, stopping on a dime, and Phil wasn't too far off from him, was able to contest still, but Ignacio able to elevate and put it in easily.
Weiland up with the right hand and in against Sloan. So Knights finding some success in the dribble drive. Ignacio spinning with left hand, and Ignacio trying to take over here, and a timeout called by Matt Griggs. Again, I've talked about where sometimes I feel like the main game plan in certain parts of the game from Ray Baldwin is just let Ignacio cook. Let him drive to the paint, let him get a spin move, get a good look at a two-pointer or get a three-point shot on the outside, and they'll just kind of tell him, go off, and he does.
It just shows you how much of a talent he is. I mean, we talked about how important of a player Phil Harris is, especially defensively, but offensively, his size obviously is a disadvantage, driving the ball, but also even shooting, it's tough to get open looks, but he does it, driving to the rim and from the outside. You mentioned last year here in the barn that he was cooking from outside in the second half, and then his inside game here is on full display. He doesn't finish right at the rim, but he'll pull up in the paint and float it over any outstretched hand that's trying to block him. It's really impressive what he's doing on the offensive end right now.
It absolutely is. As someone that is not fast or quick or shifty as myself, watching Ignacio with the ball, making movements here and there, and pump fakes, and able to create space for himself. It's something that I wish that I would have had in my playing days. It would have definitely done me some good. But some guys just have such fantastic ability, such as Ignacio. And the Knights now with the ball. Just over 9 minutes to go in the second half. Green working against Barber. And Jex is in the game now in place of Harris. Baker wanted to drive in. Kick out to Green. Olsen, mid-range jumper, that's good as the shot clock was going out. Able to knock it down. Ignacio trying to split the defenders. Ignacio for three. That's short, no good, rebounded by Olsen.
Yeah, that was almost a tough break there. Nice getting your hands in there. Almost a three-pointer by Ignacio, but good defensive stand.
Weiland doing a good job protecting the ball. Olsen for three, no good. And it's deflected off, they're gonna say, off of Sloan. He's slow to get up an immediate timeout here. Green doing a good job fighting for the rebound, and it'll stay with the Knights just under 8 minutes remaining in this half. So right now the Knights down by 12, but it's one of those games where, again, it's been back and forth to where one team goes in a long run, the other team goes in a long run, and so it is definitely not out of reach by any stretch of the imagination. But again, I go back to the statement. The time is now. Got to take action now. Got to get stops. Got to knock down some shots. But one thing that's also really impressing me in the past couple possessions is that Mary Baldwin does an incredible job just closing out potential shots. Like, for instance, just a moment ago, you had Green get a kick-out pass from the paint in the corner for a three. Had a good look at his shot, but then the defender closed out so quickly that he was not able to get off a quality shot.
Yeah, it's that quickness. Not only does it create good offense, but it helps them defensively as well. And as you said, Dawson, the big difference here is just those 5 or 6 minutes, here earlier in the second half when Mary Baldwin went on that run. That, you know, we expected that push to come,
Yeah.
and it certainly did. And Knights weren't able to counter as quickly as you would have liked, and that deficit got sizable there, over 10 points obviously, and so they've been going back and forth since then, but they're gonna have to claw their way back in this one, which they have done before.
Mary Baldwin slow to get out of the timeout huddle, barely able to get back in time to play some defense. Baker trying to step through, up off the glass, no good, but he gets fouled and will go to the free throw line. Foul's called on Reed.
Yeah, Reed's had his hands full with Koa, you know, all night long, and I think that is his fourth personal, third or fourth. And so that could be pretty important here in the last less than 8 minutes.
Coach Griggs for Mary Baldwin arguing something with the ref on this near side. Not quite able to hear exactly what the argument is about. But the first free throw good for Baker.
And that is for Mikai Reed.
And that free throw brings it back within 10. So the Knights in striking distance. Fraley going up strong, draws the foul against Kai Olson. And I kept talking about how Ignacio took over late in the second half of last year's contest here in the barn. But another player did the same thing, Fraley.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about how Luke Ogle likes to stay on the perimeter a lot for being their biggest guy, but you know, they look to Vernon Fraley for their inside presence. Really strong body in there. You know, that's really tough to handle once he gets into the paint. And yeah, so you got to watch out for him late in the second half.
Here's the free throw for Fraley, and that one is good. So those two free throws extend it back to a 12-point lead. Green trying to kick it out to Jex. Spin move for Green, going in the paint, off the glass, no good, but rebounded by Olson. Not able to knock it down. But the Knights get another chance. Green for three. That's good. And brings it back within single digits. Fantastic quick release from DJ Green. The Knights have not attempted nearly as many threes in the second half, but that one a nice, clean look. And a foul is called on that shot for Reed. They're going to call it on Baker, but he went up with just one hand. Maybe they're going to say that the hand that was down hit the body, but wasn't a whole lot of contact. I mean, Reed was wide open down there, and Baker had to come crash down.
Yeah, and it seemed like, you know, Baker was pretty conscious about, you know, not fouling him, and he pulled his hand away from Reed's body at the last second, almost not to contest. So I was surprised they called a foul there, but.
And that makes Baker's fourth. And he'll be subbed out in favor of Phil Harris, and him not being on the floor in a time where you need an offensive burst is a huge blow for Southern Virginia. So now, as we see a substitution of Luke Ogle coming onto the floor in place of Mikai Reed, you're going to need a lot more offensive production from DJ Green, Olson, and Sam Jex to make up for it.
Yeah, and we saw Sam Jex make his first two shots. Those are three-pointers early in the game, so we need some kind of spark from him offensively.
Jex for three. That one's just short. Not enough leg underneath that one. And that's tough also as an outside shooter coming onto the floor and taking a three right away. Sometimes your legs need a minute to kind of get the blood flowing through them again.
Yeah, I was this close to giving myself props for that comment right before he shot it. Didn't quite work out. It looked good, but it was just short.
6.5 minutes to go. And what has been a good one. Weiland working on Fraley. Fraley slipping on the spin move, up, no good. Knight bench wanting a travel on the slip. Feeding it down low to Olson. The jumper up and good.
He's had the game they need. You know, and especially now with Koa sitting with 4 fouls, probably for the next couple of minutes at least, they're going to need some big moments from Kyle Olson down the stretch.
He has 17 points now in this game. And like he said, having the game that we expect to see from him with the talent that he has and the leadership that he guides this team with. You know, and there's a deep three here. That one no good by Hart, and a good rebound there for Weiland. Olsen, another jumper. That one just a little long. And a foul is called on Ignacio.
Well, on that, yeah, it was on the rebound there. You could see Phil Harris was pushed out of the way, but underrated defensive play on that last possession when Ignacio came back to the top to retake the ball from Ogle. DJ Green was aware of that and closed on him quickly to prevent him from getting the ball. Good defensive stop there, and that was because of that closeout by DJ Green.
Weiland brings it back to the top. Green getting double teamed. Olsen going into the paint. Kicks out the corner for Weiland for three. That's good! The feed from Olsen. Weiland knocking it down, back within 6.
And again, key offensive possessions with your best offensive weapon on the bench. This is exactly what they needed in these couple of minutes.
Olsen has the takeaway. Goes up, no foul is called, and it's knocked away, but it'll be out of bounds, night ball. Zach Sloan sprinted back to defend against Olsen, and there was some contact, but for the refs, not enough to warrant a foul call. Substitution here for the Fighting Squirrels, number 3, Logan Barber.
And Mary Baldwin trying to make some sort of adjustment here. They're going to put Logan Barber in there in spot of Jaden Ignacio.
Inbounded to Weiland.
Lots of movement, that's what they need.
Step back jumper, gets fouled on the shot. He'll go to the free throw line and shoot 2. That is called on Quentin Hart, only his second foul. So now just under 5 to go. We're seeing the Knights have a little bit of life in them right now.
So I'm curious to see when Coach Bevel sees that he should put Koa Baker back in there. Obviously, they're doing the job without him, and has closed this gap to within 6 with 4:50 to go.
First free throw for Green is good.
Be interesting to see when he puts Koa back in there.
We see Ignacio coming back onto the floor.
Got to think it'd be the next possession or two here.
You'd think so with time winding down, that 4th foul not necessarily being as much of a problem, but now it's back within 4. Arguably the most important defensive possession of the game right here. Ogle working against Olsen. Going baseline, kicks the corner, Hart for 3. They're gonna say stepped out of bounds before the shot. Now the Knights have a chance to make it a 1-possession game.
And great recovery there by Kyle Olsen. It seemed like he got beat there on the edge. Was able to recover and prevent him from getting from out under the basket.
Hart is going to deflect it out of bounds. Weiland had grabbed the ball a little quickly, and nobody was set to get the inbound play started. So fortunately for him, it doesn't result in a turnover. And the Fighting Squirrels quickly back off and go into a half-court defense. Green driving in. Is going to get fouled. And fouled hard. Both him and Barber are going to hit the floor hard. And Green will go to the free throw line. Actually, they're going to say that's Quentin Hart's foul. That is his 3rd. Here's Green for his first free throw. It's up and good. Brings it within 3. Second free throw is up and good. Now within 2. It is a 1-possession game. What was once 11-point deficit, and it felt like the Fighting Squirrels were in control. The Knights have a chance to pull off an upset here. Fraley driving in, Gonna draw the foul and one with the contact from Weiland. Olsen trying to tell Weiland how to not draw the foul call. That is Weiland's third. Fraley doing a good job though at going into the defender and then deflecting off, creating space for himself.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup for Alex Weiland, which, you know, that's what they've had to do with Tyler Karcher being out for most of this half.
I mean, Fraley weighing 215, weighing as much as some linebackers do. Harris going up, oh, not able to knock down the layup off the great move. Another important defensive stance here for the Knights. Harris working on Ignacio. And they're gonna call a block on Weiland. Weiland ended up on the floor. And that is Weiland's fourth. And everyone in the arena is in disbelief at that call, as am I. I mean, I'm sorry. Weiland has established his feet. He took the charge, ended up on the floor, and we see a substitution of Koa Baker here on the floor.
Yeah, that's one of those moments that you typically see either a charge or a no call.
Right.
Much less a block. So yeah, I was dumbfounded on that one as well.
And we'll see Baker come in place of Sam Jex.
Yeah, and at this point, that's you got to go back to him with 3:30 to go. There's, you know, another possession or two. You're approaching the 2-minute mark.
Right. And again, it's this point we've talked about, the 3.5 to 2 minute point in a game, in a close game specifically, where everything needs to go right. You need to play lockdown defense and knock down good shots. And so you're within 5. This is doable. If you're Southern Virginia, you got
Yes.
Koa Baker back in there, another scoring threat. You have a chance to make things happen for you. And so now you do have Fraley at the free throw line after the foul call. But even if he's able to make both of those.
And again, 3.5 minutes, you do still have a good amount of time, you know, several possessions still to go.
Yeah.
So don't hit the panic button yet and start chucking up shots that aren't there.
Fraley's first free throw is going to be good. Make it a 6-point lead.
Yeah, and even more tough that, you know, they're in the bonus, so obviously, you know, Fraley goes to the line there. So yeah, that's a real marginal call in my opinion, but you know, got to fight through those.
Second free throw is good. And again, similar thing that Fraley did last year is that during the final minutes, he really just attacked the rim, drew fouls, and got to the free throw line. Baker for 3. That's good! Brings it back within 4 right off the bench. Baker now with 27.
And timely shots from Baker and Olsen. So you've had the games you need from them. They got to step up defensively now.
Weiland working on Sloan. Remember, Weiland has 4 fouls. Got a screen from Ogle. Hart gonna drive in. And a foul is called on Olsen. As Hart went up for the shot, he's gonna shoot 2. Well, another substitution for the Fighting Squirrels, number 3, Logan Barber.
Yeah, man, a pretty big shift, though, you know, comparing the first half and second half in regards to foul calls against the Knights. You know, Mary Baldwin obviously only got to the line 3 times, which, you know, you got to credit a little bit to Mary Baldwin of driving a little bit more, not just relying on their outside shooting.
Right.
But, you know, there's been a pretty big disparity at this point.
Kai now has 4 and a missed free throw there. Golden opportunity now for Southern Virginia to bring it back within 1 possession. Baker driving in. No foul is called whatsoever. And the missed shot results in a rebound. Like, I'm sorry, when you call a blocking foul on Weiland on that one play a couple possessions ago and you call nothing there, I cannot believe that.
That's brutal. Mary Baldwin caught a break there for sure. Alex Weiland going to try and make him go left here. He does.
And a takeaway. Baker's with it. Driving in. Stepping to the side of the defender, knocks it down, brings it back within 2 minutes remaining.
And he's trusting those drives. He's going back to it, even though he wasn't discouraged from that non-foul call. Nice poise here from Cole Baker late after coming back in with the 4 fouls.
And a timeout is called by Mary Baldwin. Baker now with 29 in the game.
And I mean, we've talked about it all season long. So many close games, not able to close, but this is what you call closing here after being down by 13 or 14 here in the second half.
There
really
was
good resilience from this group right now.
There was a point in this second half where the Fighting Squirrels had scored 22 points and the Knights had scored 7. Keep that in mind, folks. That's what we're seeing here. Like you just said, the resilience to fight back, to battle back. And with the fouls that have been called, with the shots that have been made, and just how far behind you were. And it's, like you said the word, finish. That's what's got to happen right now. And now part of that does come down to some calls. You need some calls to go your way. You need to play smart defense. I mean, you have players like Olsen with 4 fouls. You have Weiland with 4 fouls. You have Baker with 4 fouls. You are in serious foul trouble. But also the flip side, you can't really play like you are in foul trouble.
Yeah.
Everything on the line from here on out for the next minute and 56 seconds.
And if, one of those guys fouls out, it's not the end of the world. You do still have Tyler Cartster, one of your typical starters on the bench, because of those mismatches. So it's not game over if one of them fouls out. But like you said, Dawson, keep playing aggressive. You can't be timid now.
Kick out to Fraley for 3. No good. Rebounded by Harris. That could have been a dagger. Weiland's going to drive in. Got an open lane. Tries to slam it home. No foul is called.
And he wanted the dunk. You could hear Coach Bevel going crazy there just to lay it in. But, yeah, no foul called again. They're letting him play right now.
Ignacio playing a little bit of keep away.
You want good closeouts on these passes. No free space allowed.
Shot clock winding down. Ignacio pulls up jumper. No good. Rebounded by the Fighting Squirrels. Off the long bounce.
The good thing is only resets back to 20. So one more stop and you're back in business.
9 seconds on the shot clock. Feed inside to Fraley. Check out, taken away by Olsen. 40 seconds left. The fans are on their feet.
You got to think it's DJ Green or Koa they're going to go to with their driving ability.
And they do go to Koa. Able to recover it. Gets to the Green. Triple team to the corner. And a timeout called by Southern Virginia with 5 seconds on the shot clock. 16.7 left in the game.
Yeah, I think that was Coach Belva who was the one who called the timeout, so smart by him. And again, that's why you want to keep the timeouts in your back pocket. But again, great defense. Ignacio, he was the primary ball handler. You knew he was going to keep it. And good job by Kyleson to be aware of the extra pass back to the outside for that potential three-point look. Excellent defense, and hopefully it pays off here with this offensive possession.
Now, my question here is, I feel like since you have 3 of your key players in foul trouble with 4 fouls, you want to end it here.
Yes,
you want to end it here. Now, my question is, do you try to go for a 3-point shot, or do you try to drive to the basket and rely on a foul call at the gate of the free throw line with a possible and one?
And this is the game of strategy here, because obviously Mary Baldwin knows that, the Knights like to go inside. That's where they're most successful. But if you're the Knights, you've been shooting the ball as well as you have been in this game all season.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that as an option. I'm sure they're thinking about it here. It'll be interesting to see if they keep their same group in here, which I imagine they will, or if they put another shooter in there like Sam Jex or Colin Griffith.
They're indeed going to leave the same group out there. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Only 1 timeout left for either squad. And it's a Green. Gonna put up a shot. He's gonna get fouled and land hard on the ground. The foul is going to be called on Zach Sloan. That is his 4th, and Green slow to get up.
Yeah, because he shot that, he sacrificed himself to take that shot to draw that shooting foul. You know, he wasn't able to protect himself as he was falling to his right, back on his tailbone.
Indeed, he immediately grabbed for his tailbone after the foul. Walking around rather gingerly after that play. You kind of just hope that the adrenaline fuels him at this point.
Yeah.
Coach Bevel's going to talk to 3 of his players here on the near sideline. Green's first free throw. Up and good. Green fighting through the pain. Knock it down the free throw, bringing it within 1.
And I'm sure Coach Bevel was talking to his guys about if he makes 0, if he makes 1, what to do. Certainly want to box out here and look for any possible offensive rebound if he does miss the second.
It's up and good. It's a tie ball game, 84-84. Ignacio slips, 10 seconds. And a timeout called by Mary Baldwin. Smart timeout by the Fighting Squirrels. And Green barely able to stand. We'll see Sam Jex checking in for DJ Green. The heroism of DJ Green on that play. I mean, folks, you can't quite see it on the broadcast, but he fell hard on that foul. He could barely walk, shooting those free throws, knocks them down, ties the game at 84 apiece.
And you know how much he elevates on his shot, you know, particular DJ Green. He gets up there when he goes for those jump shots, so that just tells you how hard he fell. But yeah, you know, sacrificing the body, you know, you got to do that to get these big wins and come back like the Knights have. And DJ Green's a perfect example of that. We hope he's okay.
Indeed we do. He is at the scorer's table now, being looked at by the trainer Forrest, one of the favorites of many of the athletes here at Southern Virginia. Pretty much every athlete goes to see him at some point in their athletic career here in Buena Vista, Virginia. Still attending to DJ Green at the scorer's table, has not been moved.
So you know, you want, I imagine, Knights, you want to keep your pressure up on defense here, because if you lay off, it allows them a chance to get an open three-point shot or have an open lane to the basket. And to your point, Dawson, you want to end this thing, so maybe you can possibly get an extra possession here at the end if you pressure them enough into a bad shot.
It's a very, very good point. Green getting helped off the floor by both Forrest as well as Ashton Lee.
So they're going to put Sam Jackson there in the place of DJ Green, so a big loss there for the Knights. But
and here's the thing is that you, of course, don't want to give up an easy shot, but you also don't want to foul and give them an easy way of winning this game. And we're going to see Sam Jex guarding Ignacio.
And of course, as we mentioned, you know, Cole Baker and Kai Olsen and Alex Weiland all in foul trouble.
And a timeout called by Trace Bevel and Southern Virginia. I'm sure one of the main things they're saying is keep your hands straight up.
Yes.
Straight up. Play tight defense, but do not give the refs any excuse to call a shooting foul on you. Be as smart as you possibly can on this defensive inbound. They have 8 seconds, which, if you're drawing up a play, can be a long time. I mean, we just saw that play with DJ Green able to get off a shot with a foul in just 5 seconds as the shot clock was going to expire. But at the same time, you don't want to get, you know, overextend yourself. You don't want to commit a foul and give him a chance to knock it down at the free throw line to end this.
And because, frankly, you know, the foul calls have been pretty unpredictable here in the second half. You know, they're letting them play in the first half, given how often people at the play, both teams were at the line. And so, exactly right, Dawson. You want to be careful. Hands straight up. Don't give the ref any reason to call a foul.
Here's the inbound. Here's Ignacio, defended by Jex.
Gonna go tight off that screen.
He's gonna drive in. Gonna put up a shot, no good. Rebounded by Weiland. And regulation is gonna end. We're going into overtime.
Yeah, they forced Ignacio to stop and take that jump shot a little further out than maybe he wanted to, like we'd seen him do so many times during regulation. Good defense there by Phil Harris, staying tight to the screener and prevent a tougher shot for Ignacio.
and we'll have a 5-minute overtime period here in the barn at Southern Virginia. Again, this is Southern Virginia, a team that has struggled to get conference wins. They are 2-8 in conference play all season long against the #1 team in the USA South Conference, a team that's only lost 2 conference games so far this year, a team that's really held control of the USA South Conference. So now you have a chance to ride this wave of momentum. You've gotten to this point. The issue is you're going to have to do it without DJ Green, one of your main contributors offensively. He has 18 points in this game, just second behind Koa Baker, who has 29, and just one above Kai Olsen, who has 17.
We've seen they're capable of doing it without some of their best scorers, given how well they performed when Koa Baker sat out a few minutes with the 4 fouls. And on top of that, you know, Baker and Olsen do both have 4, as well as Alex Weiland. So, you know, things are stacked against the Knights at this moment. But, you know, you got to give them props and an advantage in terms of momentum, as they're the team that tied it to get put into overtime rather than the other way around.
And Ogle is going to win the tip. Pause in play for the clock. The shot clock had not been started yet. And so just correcting that now, they'll inbound it from out of bounds. So like you said, the Knights in serious foul trouble with some of their best defenders and offensive weapons all wrapped into one. Ogle working on Olsen. Arguably trying to draw that 5th foul. Gonna knock it down. Olsen doing a great job just keeping his hands straight up. Nothing more you can do.
And a way to prevent those fouls also is to keep them from going inside. It was a good job by Kylson. Take the shortcut on that route by Ogle to keep them on the outside.
Baker working against Ogle. Trying to go underneath, up and off the glass and in, ties it back up. Being very patient. He's now at 31. Jex defending Ignacio. Again, it was Green who guarded Ignacio for most of the second half, and weaving in and knocking it down is Quentin Hart.
Yeah, there's that ability to use those screens.
Hart's shoe came
flying off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, they're having to fight those screens, and it's been difficult. They've done well for the most part, but that was another good example of, you know, those guards of Mary Baldwin going tight off those screens and creating space on those drives.
Weiland gets it to Harris. Hand off to Baker. Wanted a step back 3 there. Feeding it inside to Baker, working against Fraley. Fadeaway jumper off the glass, no good, rebounded by Ogle.
Yeah, they doubled him there and then backed off, and it forced them into a tough shot. Good defense there by the Fighting Squirrels.
Fighting Squirrels have a chance to extend the lead. Ignacio, shot no good, rebounded by Weiland. Ignacio has gone quiet offensively the past couple of minutes of game time. Harris driving in. Good kick out to Baker. Step back 3. No good, rebounded by Olsen. Goes up with the right hand, up and in, ties it back up. You could hear the sigh of disappointment when Baker didn't initially take that 3.
Yeah.
Olsen doing a great job of getting the rebound up and in.
Been
for
a couple times where he's hesitant on those threes. He did take it, but yeah, he's just got to let it go on that first attempt.
Like I said, Olsen now at 19 in the game. Hart kicks it out to Sloan. He's going to step out of bounds on the 3. He would have made it. But a turnover for the Fighting Squirrels and a substitution here.
That's the second time late in this game that that's happened, so that's key down the stretch. Remember that one. A big unforced turnover by the Fighting Squirrels.
And here's the Knights with it. Barber subs in. 2.5 to go in overtime. Baker gets it knocked out of his hand and foul. Late whistle is blown.
Yeah, Baker might have got a little build out there. I couldn't see it. I was a little blocked by the coaches.
That is called on Fraley, actually. So Baker will go to the free throw line, a chance to take the lead, and that's Fraley's 4th. First free throw, no good for Baker.
So Knights with 3 guys with 4 fouls. Mary Baldwin also now 3 guys with 4 fouls. That's Sloan, Reed, and Fraley, as you mentioned.
A rare 0 for 2 for Baker at the line. Knights need another good stop here. Ignacio driving in, kick out to Fraley.
I'm surprised Ignacio didn't pull up that last time.
Feet underneath to Fraley, up and under is going to be good.
Smart play by Baker, though, to let that go and don't foul him.
Hand off to Jex. Olsen is going to drive in. Kick out to Harris. Shot clock winding down. Olsen, mid-range jumper. That's no good. No foul is called as Ogle was shoving Olsen underneath the basket. There have been a couple of some serious no calls here in the second half as well as overtime. Now just a minute to go.
Yeah, he extended his arm for sure there, but they're going to say that Koa kind of sold it.
Offensive foul on Quentin Hart.
And that's going to be 4 for Hart as well. So they have 4 guys, 4 regulars for the Fighting Squirrels with 4 fouls apiece with just 50 to go. So big moments here.
And I want to take you back to when Alex Weiland tried to take an offensive foul before the end of the second half. Harris, similar situation. 3. Baker, no good. Rebounded. Baker wanting the knockout punch.
So biggest defensive possession here. Even if they score, there still is a chance to extend the game, but they need a stop on this one.
About 11 seconds separate the shot and game clock. Here's Ignacio working against Sam Jex. He's gonna drive in. Weiland got his hand on it. Here's Baker. Gonna try to go up. Baker. Sam Jex for 3. No good. Fought for. And a foul called on Koa Baker. And that'll be Baker's 5th.
They had the look they wanted. Really good penetration by Phil Harris. Kick out to Sam Jex. Made his first 2 on the day. Has been a little cold since. But they had the shot they wanted, that's for sure.
And Karchner will come in place of Koa Baker, who will end his night with 31 points. And it'll send Quentin Hart to the free throw line, a chance to make the game out of reach.
He's missed 4 of his free throws, though, so don't.
First
There
free
it
throw
is.
is no good. And a timeout called by Southern Virginia.
And I think they might make a change here to get another shooter in there.
Indeed
Colin
they
Griffiths
do.
is going to come in.
This is about as intense as it has been all year
This is-
long.
I think this is the second in 3 games that's gone to overtime, correct? Against NC Wesleyan, they did as well. Weren't able to close in that overtime. And we're the team that actually, NC Wesleyan tied that one up to force it into overtime. Knights on the other end of it, but hanging in there tough here in this overtime.
There's not very many games where you see me grabbing the edge of the scores table here with every play and shot that is made in the gym here at Knight Arena. And again, like you mentioned with that missed free throw from Quentin Hart, the largest lead they could possibly have now is 3.
Yes.
And so, although Southern Virginia no longer has any timeouts, so at this point,
Yeah,
they'd
I
have to
think
get
if they tell them to miss it possibly too, that's an option if you're Mary Baldwin.
absolutely try to get an offensive rebound, end the game there, or get fouled and get to the free throw line again. But if you're Southern Virginia and he misses it and you get the rebound, you have to get a quick, more than likely, more than half-court shot.
Yes.
So now it gets to the point where you think to yourself, out of all times where we've messed around and practiced and shot half-court shots, who's the most consistent at making those? That's the guy you get it to.
You can see Mary Baldwin, they're going to stack the line here. Sam Jex is going to free up some space if there is a rebound here. or there's a good chance of that because Hart is 3 for 7, or 2 for 7 rather, from the line on the Knights.
And the free throw is good.
This gives them a chance to get set, though.
Phil Harris is going to chuck it down, and no good.
I'm not sure if that was the shot they wanted, but it looked pretty content to get it into Phil's hand.
We'd like to thank our tonight's sponsor,
And
Cornerstone Bank.
what a game. I mean, the Knights fought back from being down 11, able to force overtime. The heroics of DJ Green as he went down hard, made the 2 free throws to tie up the game, was not able to play the entirety of overtime, and able to fight and make it as close of a game as it was. I mean, this is an all-timer, folks. I mean, I might be exaggerating it a little bit, but what a game it was. Teams, plays on both teams scoring 20 plus. You had Vernon Fraley ending the game with 22 for the Fighting Squirrels. Baker with 31. Kai Olsen with 19. Olsen, in my opinion, having one of the better games of the season for him.
He did.
And DJ Green with 18. Alex Weiland coming in with 10. And just things not falling for Southern Virginia as they fall to 5 and 17 and 2 and 9 in conference. And Mary Baldwin goes on to 12 and 9 overall, 8 and 2 in conference. But again, if you're Southern Virginia, you're looking at yourself and thinking, we took the best team in the conference and we took them the distance. It took everything. We had guys in foul trouble. We had guys foul out. We had guys that were injured that couldn't play in overtime. And it only ended up being a 3-point defeat. I mean, also there's no such statistic as moral victories.
Yes.
But there are good things
correct.
to learn about yourself as a team after this one.
Well, in these kind of games, it just shows you how tight the USA South is for men's basketball.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about how in women's basketball, it's kind of a 2-horse race between Methodist and Southern Virginia. But in this, you know, team 1 through 8, you know, these are competitive games.
Yeah.
And it just shows that come tournament time, anything can happen, given that Southern Virginia did take down Mary Baldwin last year in the first round. So obviously Mary Baldwin thinking about that, trying to get back on track in regards to tournament play. But Southern Virginia's got to, you know, learn from this, you know, take away some really good things, how resilient they are, get healthy, and get back at it again.
And with that, we want to thank you for watching this presentation of Southern Virginia Athletics here on Knights Broadcasting. I'm Dawson Weidrich. This has been Quinn Meyer. And again, what a fantastic game. We hope you had a fantastic time viewing this doubleheader here on the network. Hope you have a great evening, and go Knights.